Welcome back, global Nollywood community lovers. This is Coach Cece, and here in this platform, we are all first Nollywood lovers, second Nollywood lovers of Sonia Uche, Queen Soso, and this platform is dedicated to the character of Sonia Uche, of many of her portrayal and many examples she portrays on screen and the person she is, right? Her identity, who she is today as a person. There are many postings where she may publish a lot of positive reinforces that we can adopt and use during the week. And it's important that in addition to her great content, being a producer, executive producer, even writer, an actor, definitely she has pearls of wisdom. So walking in wisdom, otherwise known as Wow, Woman of Wisdom, we are dedicated to looking at what she says and dissecting it in terms of how to become better global citizens, building our own character by using Nollywood movies to glean information and work on ourselves. And today is no different. We are going to continue to process what we have started. But again, if you have not subscribed to this platform, I encourage you to please go ahead and do so. If you agree, Sonia Uche is fantastic. And if you enjoy her movies, I also encourage you with all 66 movies that have already reached and surpassed at least 1 million. We encourage you to go ahead and subscribe and make Sonia Uche TV 1 million subscribers strong. So go ahead and do so if you have not already done so. And today we're going to look and examine the movie Wife Barter. This movie came out about a month ago. It has 2.3 million views. And we have other movies that are out there like The Arranger, if you have not seen it, has 3.5 million views. So she's doing pretty well. Heart Place has 1.4 million views. Voice in a Room, one of my faves, 2 million views. So if you have not already seen any of her movies, including the movie we're going to dissect today, Wife Barter, please be sure to go ahead. Again, subscribe, thumbs up, leave your comments, because these comments might also be very helpful as well. And of course, enjoy and learn from what is being displayed on the screen. So again, I'm Coach Cheryl, and what I do, I coach men and women of faith in terms of how to upskill, level up, and to build good character. And character indeed can be defined as good or bad or negative and positive. And if we're on a faith walk, now that we know better, we desire to do better. We can glean from a lot of these Nollywood movies, which again, I can appreciate and love. I've always been a fan of not just Hollywood, but I've certainly come full circle when it comes to Nollywood. So again, today we're going to look at Wife by Barter. And in this movie, we have Sonia Uche, Ubube Ubuyo, we have Brother Humphrey and Brother Bassi. Okay. And in this particular movie, we may consider Sonia Uche's character, Joanna, a very hardworking woman that lives in a village with a husband whom she loves. And she pays the rent, does what she has to do to survive and make her family work, while her husband is a chronic gambler. And he did so much so that he even gambled her away. Hence the reason the term wife by barter. And in this particular movie, we have 4 strong characters. And my question, who is the protagonist? Who is the antagonist? Who has good character and who has bad character? And can any of those with bad character, can they be salvaged? And as a woman of faith and as a coach, I have seen the impossible. So anyone can be changed if they desire to. If you have a brand image and you want to reconcile that and align it with an identity that you desire to grow and develop and hone, you indeed can do so. So it's never too late indeed. Now, in this particular movie, we encourage you to look at it, so I'm not going to give away the golden nuggets. But right here in this scene, as you can see before you, Brother Humphrey is telling Sonia's character in terms of what her husband did, and that she is on the verge of becoming his property because her husband borrowed from him. And if he didn't pay back within a particular time, he signed a contract knowingly if he didn't pay back in time, Sonia Uche's character, Joanna, would become the possession of Brother Humphrey's character. So this is the discussion they're having right now, indeed. And Brother Humphrey's character is Chooks, a wealthy but heartless client of Joanna's. So here we have it. The dilemma is the husband traded and pawned off his wife, and he loved her. There's no question he loved her, but he had a habit, a bad habit, to the point that he couldn't pay his rent and he couldn't pay back a loan that allowed his wife now to become a prisoner of a local predator, I would say, right? Because who asked for someone's wife? So clearly he's the antagonist in this particular movie and someone of not so good character. But again, we subscribe to anyone can change if they desire to do better. But let's look at Joanna, a hardworking, diligent woman who loves her husband, left in a predicament. And in terms of character building tips and qualities, what she had to um, dig deep into herself in order to persevere and thrive while in a different environment. Even though there was much opulence, much to eat, eventually came with a hair and clothing changes, she still missed her husband. Whether he returned or not, whether she went back or not, it's up to you to see the movie for that answer. But I'm just going to highlight a few character building tips, including endurance and adaptability, being prudent when the time came, having mental resilience and inner fortitude, digging really deep to be patient with what your husband did. Because every night, that information that your husband bartered you would certainly toil in your mind day in and day out. A level of resourcefulness, internal preservation, and of course, discernment and self-preservation. And really is about courage. And today we're just going to consider it courage, the moral fortitude and courage it for her to do what she needed to do, because she didn't know the gentleman. The gentleman, Chook's character, was a client of hers where she would clean clothes, etc. So aside from being a client, you don't know the internal workings of an individual until you spend time with them. So that took moral courage to stay in a place. Even though Ibubu's character was there to assist, she just played the role of the niece that helped bring some level of common sense to her uncle. So she indeed, Sonia Uche's character, otherwise known as Joanna, needed a courage to break free. And this courage also to confront her husband and make a decision whether to go back or not, and ensure that if she does decide to go back, that he's indeed a changed man, right? Because the next thing could be an organ if she would go back and he's not a changed man, right? One day is the person, next day could be a body part or an organ that he's negotiating if he continues in the way of being a chronic gambler. And the moment Joanne decides to act for her own freedom, despite the immense fear and certainty, and some of that could be quiet strength, it doesn't always have to be loud and aggressive. And so the way she dealt with him really gleaned in terms of having that level of character. Having said that, let's step back a little. Before we got into this position, you have to ask yourself now, how did we get here? Did Joanna character know about Felix gambling habits before they got married? So if she did, wahala, that's a problem. If you decide you can change this person has to change and do better before taking on the role of a spouse. Don't do it. If someone has a vice, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's gambling, whether it's sex addict, whatever it is, don't do it. On the other hand, now being the spouse with a problem, if you have a vice of a problem, you should love the person enough to let them go. Allow them to live their life while you work on your life. And you just have to make that commitment that I'm going to get healed do better so I can win that person back, male or female. You cannot enable someone. You cannot enable someone while in a relationship. It does not work. And then if you consider Mr. Humphreys, Brother Humphreys' calendar played by Chooks and Eris, you cannot buy love. That's what he attempted to do. Money cannot buy love. At the end of the day, Joanna loved her husband. That's why she was there to begin with. And she could have easily gone to the police. Again, leave a comment if you believe that if she'd have gone to the police, that wouldn't have helped. From the Western mindset, I think it would have, but from the Eastern mindset, I don't know. So you can be helpful and be my partner, my coaching partner, by leaving tips in terms of the Eastern perspective when it comes to a woman, quote unquote, being the good and the good of a man or the property of a man. Right. So when we also consider self-preservation, looking at character, whether it is in what we do to survive physically or what we do to survive and strive emotionally and mentally and spiritually, we certainly have to persevere and think on that mental critical cap when we move forward. So having said that, Wife by Barter, do I recommend it? Absolutely. It was an excellent movie. It have thumbs up, 35,000. That is huge. With more than 2 million views as of June 25th, 2025. That is a huge amount. This is an excellent movie. I certainly recommend that you go see this movie and go to Sonia Uche Television. And if by chance you have not seen any of her amazing movies out of the 66 that is produced, we recommend that you do exactly that. Go ahead and see that movie. That concludes this episode when we consider, wow, Woman of Wisdom coming from Sonia Uche. Today, we took a look at the movie Wife by Barter and analyzed the different characters portrayed and who had good character, who had bad character. And we started off with one of the quotes from Soso indicating it's important to know the company that you keep. Be mindful of the company that you keep. And I cannot agree more. So that concludes this episode. Remember, character matters. And remember to subscribe to Sonia Uche Television. If you believe in what we're doing in building good character on a global level, global landscape, and if you believe movies tell stories, and those stories we can glean from it and learn and improve, go ahead, hit the like button, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, and certainly become a subscriber. We're going to end with Proverbs 14:17, and it reads, Go from the presence of a foolish man when thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge. Go from the presence of a foolish man when thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge. And that ties into minding the company that you keep. Family, that's all for now. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, shalom.